don't get it. This is the eighth time I have to do this show. Every time I do it, I question everything about life. What are we doing? My name is Phil, and you're listening to The Lip. Yes, this is What Are We Doing? Number 8. And clearly I couldn't figure out what we were doing the first 7 times, so rest and trust and believe that I really don't know what we're doing now, and it seems like it's not getting any better. And I believe that when it comes to recurring segments, this one may outlive every segment that I do. Yeah, it's only the 8th time that I've done this, but there's so many questions that I have for so many people who just I don't understand. I mean, I don't get it. I don't. And, like, how and why are we doing the things that we do? I don't know. I don't understand, and I never will. And I, without a doubt, I beg and I plead and I ask if any of you actually do understand and can answer the question of what are we doing, please, 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 please help me out. Let me understand. Like, I have a shirt that says, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Now, this stuff here has been explained to me, but nobody can understand it for me, and I don't get it. And I don't get it, and I don't understand, and I don't think I ever will. And really, when it comes right down to it, I don't think I want to understand any of this stuff that's going on. I don't know. It's crazy. It really is. Knowing that I'm recording this quite a bit early. I mean, it's May 17th, 2026 as I'm recording this episode, which isn't going to be released until May 30th, 2026. And Memorial Day would have actually come and gone by the time this episode is out. I think that it's a great time as long as everybody understands what it's about. It's about remembering all those soldiers who gave their lives for this country. It's not just about the hamburgers and hot dogs. Once we get that down and we remember those who fell for us, then you can celebrate. But remember, you're celebrating because of their sacrifice. And I certainly can say that I know a great many a veteran, and I've heard the expression said before. I've personally known some who gave some, and I actually know a few who gave all. But my goodness, every bit just by putting on the uniform was giving something. And we should all thank a vet whenever we see one. And just as important, if not even more important, the active duty military when you see them. They'll appreciate it. Just say hi. Because some of these men and women, they could be miles away from home. And somebody just saying hi to them, helping them, letting them know that you appreciate what they've done, what they're going to do, what they may end up doing, will go a long way. Truthfully, important to do that. I mean, I do my best to. I know when my kids were younger, whenever I saw a person in the military, and I had the opportunity with the kids around, I said, "Hey, let's go up to this person," especially here in Philadelphia, because you know that there's people probably might be just stopping in Philadelphia and they're going somewhere else. And I tell them, hey, we're going to tell this person thank you and hello. And every single time, you got a smile on the on the military personnel's face, and you can't put a price on that. You can't. Well, certainly went a different direction for a second, one that was necessary to go. That's something that we should all be doing more of. And now I'm about to talk about things that we should be doing less of as I go into what are we doing, number 8. And now I'm going to ring the bell and start the main event. Alright, where do we begin? There's really no spot to begin that makes any more sense than any other. So I'll start here because this is the one that caught me by surprise and just was like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I may have mentioned a time or two that I live in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia has one of the craziest roads that I've personally ever driven on, and it's called Roosevelt Boulevard, or as the locals call it, the Boulevard. Now, this is a pretty big, wide expanse of road that sort of cuts right down the middle of two giant portions of Philadelphia in the north. And this thing is so massive that I try to describe it to people from New Jersey, and the only road I can use is Route 37. It's like my favorite one because it has 3 lanes of traffic on both sides, so it's got 6 lanes. I tell them, imagine doubling the size of Route 37, and that's what you've got. You've got a 12-lane highway, 6 lanes in both directions. One is a local area where you can get off to the right, and one is more of an express lane in the middle. But speed limits are still the same, which is, well, it's got to be. Because people, in their infinite wisdom, have been killed on numerous occasions trying to cross against the light on this gigantic, insane 12-lane highway. Just, I don't get it. Now, personally, I believe that when you're younger and your parents are walking you across the street and they're teaching you how to go across the crosswalk, to stop at the stop signs, to look in both directions. If there's a light, you go when it says to walk, you stop when the hand is up. These little things will get you across just a 2-lane highway with relative safety. Even if there is a light, you'll be fine. Now, these do in fact exist on the boulevard, or Roosevelt Boulevard, but it's on a larger scale because instead of just having traffic in one direction and the other, there's traffic in both directions, and there are 6 lanes of traffic in both directions. But yet people will be at a certain spot and they know that the destination that they're trying to reach is right across from where they're standing. Now, typically, it's maybe a few blocks up or a few blocks down. There's going to be a crosswalk where you can safely cross the 12 lanes of traffic when the light changes at the proper time. But a lot of people just don't care about the light. And they just say, hey, the store I want to go to is right there. Why don't I just cross all 12 lanes of traffic? Because it's the quickest point. You know how mathematics works. The shortest route between 2 points is a straight line. So the fastest thing I can do is cut across all 12 lanes of traffic, and I'll be at the destination that I want to get to. Even though there is no crosswalk, even though the light is a block in either direction, the store I want to go to is right here. I'm not going to walk any further up or down in order to get to a crosswalk that is safe for me to cross. What are we doing? What are we doing? This is why people keep getting killed at that intersection. This is why that speed limits on a road that I thoroughly believe should be at least 50 miles an hour are in stretches 45 and 40 miles an hour. This is why I believe that on that road there are cameras that will give you a ticket for speeding because people want to decide to cross against the light away from a crosswalk. There are cameras that will catch you at red lights because people will not stop walking across the street. They'll take advantage of that because of the people who just don't care about traffic. They'll just run across the street and they just sort of hope for the best. I'll get to the store that I want to get to, or I will tumble and flip over somebody's hood, damaging their car, most likely getting them arrested and ticketed and possibly jailed. But that's okay. Rather than walk an extra 100 feet and cross at a crosswalk where the light will dictate that I'm allowed to do so, and cars would get in serious trouble if they ran you over at that point. No, I'm just going to cross right here. What are we doing? Have we become that type of people? Are we that lazy that we can't just do this? Because I believe thoroughly, wholeheartedly, that if people would cross at those spots, there would be a lot less incidents of people getting hit, and there would be no need for the speed limit to be as slow as it is, which clogs up the entirety of this gigantic 6-lane traffic nightmare. It would be a lot more free flowing if the lights were a little longer and the speed limit was a little higher. There would be less traffic jams. There just would be. Not to mention, I'm going to go and talk about New Jersey a little bit because it's got a system that I believe would make the boulevard 100 times more efficient than it is. Everybody here in Pennsylvania believes that the best way to make a right turn is to get in the right lane and go right. Yeah, people in New Jersey think the same thing. People in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania have a weird philosophy. If you want to go left, they want you to get in the left lane and make a left. Now, if you go in the left lane to make a left, what ends up happening is there's only so much space in between each of these gigantic 6-lane stretches. 3-lane stretches on each side. So you're only going to have so much room for cars that are going to try to make a left in the left lane. But that's okay. We'll just clog up the entire area. Light turns red. People can't move because they're all jammed up because too many cars are trying to make that left so that nobody can move, and everybody has just an angry face and hitting horns and red light cameras flashing and giving people tickets that were unnecessary because they could have been right through that light if they listened to New Jersey. Of course, New Jersey believes that it doesn't make any sense to turn left if you're going to go left. Turn right, just like you turn if you're going right. You turn right, do a little jug handle, which will put you facing in the direction to go straight across and go left the way that you want to go. This way, when the light changes, a nice free flow of traffic will allow you to go all the way across without any incident. And get this, there won't be any huge blockages in the middle of the intersections. I mean, some people get upset and they're like waiting for the what do you call it, the jug handle to go around. You get stuck because everybody's trying to go right. The people turning right and the people going left. Now, that minor little arteries you're going around, you're going to get across. You will, and it's not going to jam up the direct traffic in the middle of the boulevard. If they did that, everybody would flow so much better. I'm just telling you, if Roosevelt Boulevard was an artery going to your heart, the patient would be dead because they would clearly have arteries that were clogged up 100% and they would drop instantly. There would be instant heart attack. Use jug handle, you free up that artery, and the blood flows right through just the way it's supposed to. And of course, that would just make life so much easier. But why would we do that? Because that's not what we want to do. We want to make it as difficult as possible, and that's what they have done here in Pennsylvania. Make it as difficult as possible. My goodness, just a state over. That's all you had to do. So what do we do in Pennsylvania? Just look over. Just take binoculars and just look over at New Jersey, and you can see the advantages of a jug handle and the people who are crossing the street. This is the thing that kills me. Not only could you cross at the crosswalk and get across the 12 lanes of traffic very safely, you know what there are in certain spots of the boulevard, and I think that they would do a lot better if they had spent their money on these things as opposed to the stupid cameras giving people tickets. Above the road crosswalks. You can't tell me that the time that it takes to put the camera up, the person who's got to monitor it, the repairs of the system when it goes down, and the cost of tracking down people to give them the tickets that they get in the mail wouldn't be far cheaper than to put that money into crosswalks that are above ground and go over the 12 lanes of traffic. Now, there are maybe 3 or 4 that they have set up like that, that you can just walk up to that spot, go across the street above the traffic. The person has no wait time at all. They don't have to wait for the crosswalk anymore. They don't have to wait for the traffic to go because they're just going to walk across above all the traffic. Problem solved. If they took the money that they put into those stupid cameras and put it into those above the street crosswalks, I imagine that they would easily be able to afford it. And there would be less people getting hit. And you don't even have to do it as frequently as other things. You see where the crosswalks are because they have them in certain spots. You put the above ground crosswalks in the same spot where the real crosswalk is. People will think, oh, let me just walk up the stairs, walk down the stairs. I don't even have to wait for the traffic at all. It's perfect. I love those things. I love it. It solves a lot of problems. Now, some people are going to say, what if you're in a wheelchair or a scooter and you can't walk up the stairs? Well, for you, they would have to then continue to have the lower crosswalk. But for the vast majority, go above. And I'm not saying that it's easy for me to walk up the stairs either, because it's not my bad back and hip and knees and ankles and all that stuff. But I certainly would rather take my time and walk up the stairs than to have to play Frogger on the boulevard. And you see, this is the thing. I came up with that tangent about what are we doing, and that's not even what I wanted to talk about yet. That's how insane the boulevard is. What I really wanted to talk about was something that I saw and I have some serious questions about. I was driving past a particular Walmart on the boulevard, and there's a spot where in the center lane going west on the boulevard. I believe it's west. Yeah, east is that way, so I think it's west on the boulevard. I think the boulevard was east and west. I think I'm right. I'm pretty sure it's west. And there's a car parked on one of those weird spots where you turn left, but they're on the very inside of the boulevard. The 3 lanes on the inside. Now, it turns out that a car was driving on the opposite side on the inside as well. It slowed up to the car that was in the turning lane in the opposite direction, pulled something out of the bag, out of the car, and handed it to the guy in the other direction, and then drove off. What are we doing? You're going to stop in the middle of a 12-lane highway, literally the very middle, because the 2 lanes that they were in were the inside lanes of the inside lanes. So those 2 lanes were the 2 that were dead smack in the middle of the 12 lanes of traffic. And one car is going to hand something to another car right there. I mean, I don't care what it is. No matter what it is. The fact that you're just handing something off and you feel that you're okay, that it's okay to just randomly hand off something to somebody and just keep on going, it just blows my mind. Because once again, the one car was on the trajectory where it was going to turn into Walmart. And from where the other car was, it had to come out of Walmart. I could see it as it turned out of Walmart into the center lane in order to go to that car. So it's just me thinking logically, but couldn't that car have just stayed in Walmart and the other car gone into the Walmart parking lot? And they could have made that exchange in the parking lot? Legal or illegal? What does it matter? You're not in the middle of traffic doing something, some sort of handoff. I mean, why? What are we doing? What are we doing? Really, what are we doing? I mean, except for trying to give me a migraine. When I saw this, my brain just went in a direction that I couldn't explain. Like, is this really happening? And yeah, it was. It was. It was happening. And why it was happening, I cannot explain. I don't want an explanation either. I don't care. It's just, but I want to know. But I don't want to know, if you know what I mean. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Explain that to me. I don't know. Here comes another one. This is in early March. In fact, it was March 24th. I wrote it down because it just stood out at me. I mean, I was on my way to picking up my kids from school. And I'm driving down the road and I see a SEPTA bus with a very specific sign on it. And every indication of the sign that I saw made me rethink my life. And not in a good way. Let me go back in time just a little bit. I mentioned before that I applied and did the training for SEPTA, which of course is, for those of you who don't know, the Southeastern Pennsylvania Transportation Authority. They run the buses, the trolleys, and the trains in southeastern Pennsylvania. Philadelphia particularly dominant. They run the subways, the trolleys, and the buses. And in that training, one of the things that they showed us was the panel on which where you take payment. Now in that panel, you have the ability to change the route number of the bus. Or you could have, what do you call it? You could have statements up there. Like there's one that says Merry Christmas, Happy Easter, Happy Holidays. Um, you can change it to say training bus, which is what we had to do when we were training so that nobody would get on. You could have the route number, say 58, 4, 1, 65, whatever. And sometimes there's different routes within routes, and then it would tell you what route it is. It would be like, say, the 58 going to, I'm just throwing this out there, going to the mall, as opposed to the 58 staying local. You could change where you're going, and the sign would reflect it from the outside. Now, in that training, they told us that if there was an incident on the bus that was dangerous, or there was a problem that you could see beginning to develop, you could change the sign from the route number or whatever is up there, and you could have it set where the outer sign of the bus would say, call 911, call the police, because someone is doing something that could harm other people on the bus or endanger passengers or is threatening people, and the situation is bad, and you know that it would get worse if you tried to do something. So you could put that stuff on the outside of the bus, and either the police will see the sign, or someone in a car or walking will see the sign and call the police, and you would be able to get help that way. Now, having been trained to understand that, I'm always kind of looking out for it whenever I see a bus going down the road. I always keep an eye out because you just don't know. And there's always a story here or there about somebody doing something crazy on a bus. And if the driver is able to get the 911 sign up there, I would be one of the first people to pick up my phone and call 911. Now, back to picking my kids up from school. I'm on my way, and in the process, I see a SEPTA bus going down the road. As always, I don't really take much thought into the fact that it's a bus, but I do always look at the sign on the bus. I just always do it. It's just a natural instinct based on the training, because I would then know that, okay, that's a route, it's a training bus, because I want to know this. If it's a training bus, the person on the bus is just learning the routes, learning how to control the bus, and I want to be cautious of that driver and not do anything that's going to make them nervous. And of course, back to the 911. Call the police. If I see that, then I'm going to grab the phone and I'm going to make that call. Now, on this bus, there it was. Call the police. Call 911. So, without hesitation, I go and I grab my phone and I pick it up and I'm about to dial. I literally have 91 dialed on my phone, and we get up to the traffic light. Now, of course, when I saw that sign on there, I want to look but not look, because if there's somebody doing something, I don't want them to know that I see whatever nonsense they're doing. But I look without looking, using my peripheral vision, and then I look at the bus, and it's completely empty, with the exception of the driver. There ain't nobody on it. There's nobody there. It's empty bus. The only person on the bus is the driver. That's it. Just the driver. And at that point, I remove the 91 from my phone and I keep on going. So, what that tells me is the person who's driving that bus put in the 911 either by accident and didn't realize they did it, or it was on there when they got on the bus and they started it and didn't notice. Eesh. Either way, what are we doing? I'm surprised, like with me, when I noticed that there was nothing going on, I held back. But what if that bus was in front of somebody who sees it and didn't get an opportunity to notice that there was nobody on the bus and did in fact call? And then the police showed up and pulled the bus over and tried to figure out what was going on. That just makes a whole lot of problems in my mind because now you've wasted the police's time who have to now go and investigate what's going on inside this bus when there's literally nothing happening. So it's foolishness. Just time consuming. What are we doing? Pay attention to what your bus is saying. Pay attention to what you're doing. Because if you don't, you look crazy. Everybody else gets a little nervous. And you could monopolize resources that otherwise didn't need to be used. I mean, come on now. We're better than that. Or maybe we're not. That's why I asked the question, what are we doing? Because what is going on? Why would you do something like that? I don't know. Maybe it was a cry for help. I don't know. Bus driver having some issues and maybe need to talk to somebody. I'm not joking. I don't know. It just either way, it was weird. And my question is, what are we doing? More like, why are we doing it? Whew. But it was a bad one. Now I've got two from the gym. Now these two from the gym, one turns me into the Red Hulk. The other one just makes me question all of my life's decisions. We'll start with the one that makes me question all of my life's decisions. I was it was the middle of April. Yeah, it was last month, April 2026. I was finishing up my workout. I had done, what did I do that day? I think it was the upper body stuff so that I could essentially do physical therapy on my arm because it still has some tendencies to have some weakness and some a little bit of pain. Nothing out of the ordinary, but enough to make me uncomfortable from time to time. So I make sure to do some curls and some tricep extensions and some chest press stuff to make the motions so that I can be more functional. That's really the idea. Try to make sure that I'm functional. And that's why I go to the gym to try to become functional. Granted, sometimes it works better than others, and sometimes it hurts a lot. And at the end of my workout, that's the part where it starts to hurt because I know for sure that I am not going to go and run. Now, at the same time, I also know that the elliptical is supposed to be very good for your joints and your hips. And I tried it again because there was a point when I would go on the elliptical and do a mile in 5 minutes. That was before I hurt my back. And I would do it as my warm up. I'd do a 5 minute mile on the elliptical and I would then do everything else. That was before I hurt my back and my hip. But last time I did the elliptical, it just didn't feel right on my hip. And it was instant problem. I was on there for maybe 30 seconds and I was like, nope, this isn't going to work. My hip is not responding the way I need it to do this. And I got off. It was just all I could do. And so I've been doing the treadmill on very low speeds and just walking. And usually after about 15-20 minutes of walking, and it's a wide range. I could even say sometimes, depending on how I'm feeling that day, it could be as little as 10 minutes that my hip begins to hurt horribly. And I work through it for another 5 minutes or so, and then I stop. Then I go get the hydro massage or the cryo massage, which is just a great thing. But the fact is, I'm on the treadmill, and it's probably been about 6 or 7, maybe 10 minutes that I'm on the treadmill. Everything's feeling okay, which means for me, my pain level from the 0 to 10 being 0 being the no pain and 10 being worst pain ever. I typically, on a normal day, an average day, I sit at 6. That's my that's my baseline. At 6 pain all the time. And when I'm on the treadmill, sometimes around, like I said, 10 to 20 minutes, it'll go up to about 8. And once it does that, I try to give myself another minute or two. If it's after 10 minutes, I will stay on for probably another 2 to 3 and try to tough out 5 and then just sort of deal with it. If it's after 10 minutes, if it's after 15 minutes, I'll typically stop because you usually want to walk about 10 minutes a day. So if I get 15 and then it starts to bug me, then I'll be like, all right, I'll cut it off. Same thing, 20 minutes, I'll cut it off. Having said that, on this particular day, it was like 10 minutes in, and the pain started, and I'm like, okay, we're going to try to get to 15. And really, this is kind of a two-part. What are we doing? Because now, why am I continuing to do this and tormenting myself when realistically I should just stop, go get my massage, get myself comfortable, and then move on? That would make sense. So, what are we doing? Why are we continuing to push? What are we doing it for? I have no answer. I don't know why I do it. I do it because I feel that there's going to be a potential time where I may not be able to do even 10 minutes without pain. And thinking forward into the future about that, it's sort of like I want to do as much as I can while I can. That's the best I can do as far as what are we doing on that treadmill like that. That's the best I can give. Um, Now, having said that, again, on this particular day, I'm on the treadmill and I feel the hip starting to act up around 10 minutes. I probably said this twice now. But while I'm there and I'm thinking that I'm going to do 5 more minutes and I'm toughing it out, I see a guy. I kind of remember seeing him in the gym working out, but I don't really know for sure. But I'm pretty sure I remember seeing him. And I see him walking around the treadmills, and I'm like, okay, probably trying to find one that he wants because I do that sometimes. I'll walk around until I find one that is um, the most advantageous. In order for me to get an extra couple steps in, I'll usually try to use the treadmill that's at the farthest end of the gym. And if I don't find that one, I'll use the one that's the closest end of the gym. And when I'm finished and I'm wiping off the treadmill, I will use the spray machine, that's the spray bottle and paper towels that are at the farthest end. So I have to make the walk down and back before I go. And I'm assuming that maybe this guy is taking my mindset and using the farthest place he can go in order to get to the farthest treadmill he could, but he saw that I was on it. But then maybe he was trying to get the farthest um, wipe down station that he could, which is the one that was usually behind me on that far treadmill. But that wasn't the case. 12 minutes now goes by, and I see this guy, and he's continuously walking around in circles. around the treadmill area. Now, I'm thinking about getting off at 15 minutes, but something sort of said to myself, I want to see how this is going to play out. And so 12 minutes turns to 15, 15 turns into 20, and I'm still walking, and my hip is starting to scream now, and my back is killing me. Like, I can't wait to get off of this thing, because if I stay on this thing another 2 minutes, I'm going to lose it. And this guy has been walking around the treadmills. I mean, walking around the treadmills for 10 minutes. And when I tell you he's walking around them, he's physically not even really walking. It's kind of a jog. It's a jog, really, because he's jogging around the treadmills. And in my mind, it's like, what are we doing? There are other pieces of equipment in front. There's some row machines and some bikes. And this guy is running around. He's doing a nice little jog, decent pace. And he's been doing it for 10 minutes at this point, because now it's like 10. It's not 10 minutes. It's probably more than 10 minutes, because, like I said, my hip and my back are screaming, and it's getting close to 25 minutes for me walking on a treadmill, and I'm about to quit because I just can't do it anymore. And I see this guy jogging around the treadmills, and the whole time for like the last 15 minutes that I've been on the treadmill watching this guy, just the whole reason why I'm there is just watching him as he's running around, and it's just getting weirder and weirder and weirder, and I just don't understand what he's doing. And I keep asking myself the question, what is he doing? Which then makes me ask the question, what are we doing? Because it's not like there wasn't a treadmill open. And granted, I know some people feel uncomfortable if they're going on a treadmill and they don't know the person next to them. They usually want to have a treadmill in between them and the other person. That's what I usually do. On the end, there's usually one next to me, and then somebody is usually next on the treadmill after that, to a treadmill down with a treadmill between. But when I look down, and like I said, it's early in the morning, so there's not a whole lot of people in the gym, and I'm all the way in the end. There's one person, there's an empty treadmill, and then there's a person next on the treadmill after that, and then there's two treadmills that are empty, and there's a person, and then there's two more that are empty down the way. So there's no way that this guy couldn't just hop on one of the other treadmills and do his thing. But he chose to run around the gym floor around the treadmills. I'm not sure I understand that at all. Like, you can literally get on a treadmill and you can jog and you just jog away. You're not interfering with anybody, because there were a few people who gave him looks because they were trying to get to something, and he was just running, and they were like trying to not get in his way when realistically he was in theirs. But they just let it go and just moved on with our lives, and just this guy just kept running. And like I said, after 25 minutes, I got off the treadmill, went to the cryo massage, iced up, heated up. It was great. Love that thing. And when I was on my way out, he was still running around the treadmills, and there was just as many empty ones, if not more, because the one that I was on was empty still. So I don't understand what he was doing. I don't understand why he was doing it, but I'm really curious. I'm really curious as to why he did it. But at the same time, I asked that question: what are we doing? And as a result of that, I threw my hands up and I just said, okay, you don't want to use the equipment that is set up for jogging, running, walking, whatever. Instead, you want to just run around the gym. I mean, that's literally the equivalent of trying to think of a gentle way to put it. Um, dare I say, peeing on the floor right next to a toilet. I mean, why would you do that? There's a toilet right there. Use it. There's a treadmill right there. Use it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. I never will. And I'm going to ask the question over and over and over again. What are we doing? Again, if anybody out there has the answer, let me know, because I'd like to know. I really, really would. I'd appreciate it. Now, the next one of what are we doing, which is going to turn me into the Red Hulk. And got to try to get my mind around it, because this was not too long before my birthday. And it just so happens to be what it was. And I shake my head because it doesn't make any sense. Everybody knows, who's heard me talk about using the gym equipment and how I understand gym etiquette, and how that most people can understand gym etiquette based upon just normal etiquette in general. If you sweat on a machine, you're going to wipe it down. If you use weights, you put them back. If you use equipment, you make sure that it's back to the place that you left it at. And you definitely don't do what this guy did. I want to preface this by saying that only because I value my gym membership and my physical capabilities are not what they were before, I was able to refrain from utilizing my Muay Thai striking, wrestling takedown, and jiu-jitsu submissions on this individual on April 28th, 2026. Took everything in me not to use that one that I've always told everybody about lately. It's like, man, I got one left. I got one fight left. One good fight left in me. And I almost used it on this guy. But I was able to reframe, and everybody lived happily ever after because of it. Now, let me explain the situation to you. And anyone who has any just etiquette whatsoever, or any couth, any manners of any type, will know that this act that this guy did was not just wrong in the gym, but wrong anywhere. Substitute the gym equipment that I talk about with anything, and the aggravation and anger that I experienced, and questioning that guy's life choices, will all make sense. And I mean, you can do it with anything, like anything. In an auto shop, if somebody had done this using a wrench that belonged to the shop, if somebody had done this at a restaurant with a fork, you would have the same reaction that I did. But cooler heads prevailed. Let's get into it. Again, April 28th, 2026. I'm using a multi-cable exercise machine. It's a beautiful machine. It has two cables that you can attach certain attachments to, and when you attach these cables to these different things, you can change the stuff that you're doing, and you can utilize it in different ways. And life becomes different. Instead of doing cross cable rows, you can do bicep curls or tricep curls, depending on the attachment that you put on and the height that you would put the cable at when you're using it. Now, typically, what I'll do sometimes in my upper body workouts is I will use a multitude of different machines, or I will use this multi cable exercise machine. And I can get done all the things that I wanted to get done in one spot at one time: chest, shoulders, biceps, which is extremely important to me now, and tricep extensions. I can do it all and I can get it done, and most of it I can do relatively quickly because I superset my curls, my bicep curls, and my tricep extensions when I'm using the cable machine. I'll set one side up for the tricep extensions, the other side up. In other words, I'll lift one of the cables upward and I'll use it for tricep extensions, and I'll lower one and I'll use it for curls, and I'll superset that way with those two. Now, I go there to take over this machine, and I'm in it. I had just finished my superset of bicep and tricep curls and extensions, and I will do four sets to create that superset. I will do four sets of 10 on the tricep extension, but I'll start and then I'll do four sets of bicep curls each arm. And what I'll do is I'll do the tricep extensions, one set to 10, then I'll move over and I'll do the curls. And I'll do, depending on how my right bicep, the one that I just tore was, depending on how it feels, I will do somewhere between 8 and 10. And because trying to create symmetry, I will do whatever I did with my right one with my left one. And that'll be one set. So it'll somewhere between, and then I'll move back to the triceps. So usually it's going to be 10 tricep extensions, and then I'll curl, like I said, anywhere between 8 and 10 reps on each arm for the bicep curls. Now I had just finished the bicep extensions, the tricep extensions and bicep curls, and I shifted the the one the one cable. I lowered it to about hip level because I was just about to do cable shoulder uh, raises with both cables. Now here comes a guy who walks up just after I finished, and I'm now just about to do the shoulders, and he proceeds to lower my shoulder cable down all the way down to the floor, and he points and goes, "Me?" He's like, "You done?" I'm like, "Did you just see me put the new attachment on there, and I just did the same the other one?" I didn't say anything to him because I could already feel the Red Hulk energy beginning to swell. And so he goes and proceeds to do an exercise while I'm still in the middle of the cable machine. He's just now doing the wood chopper thing. And I'm like, did you not just see me set this up? A. B. Did you not ask to work in, which he didn't? And C. Am I not still standing right here? And dude just goes and he just does what he's doing. And the only thing I can do is I walk away to a shoulder press machine. And I do the shoulder press. And I'm just usually doing very light shoulders because my shoulders are so bad. But I turned into like the ultimate warrior doing the press slam, doing the shoulder extension because I was so mad. Whoo! I was so mad. Like, I didn't even feel the bad shoulders at that point in time. The adrenaline was just there, and the anger was there, and I was turning into the Red Hulk. And then, after he finished doing 2 sets in the middle of my shoulder set, he then went over to the Smith machine, which is right across from the multi-purpose cable machine, and I immediately went right over there and I did my cross cable rows, which was going to be the last thing that I was going to do. And he kept looking back at me like, oh, should I have done that? No, you shouldn't have done that. I was still working. You didn't ask to work in, which of course, because of the way that machine works and the time that it requires in order to move different things, because he used the same attachment that I used. So it's not like he couldn't have just lowered it to the spot where he wanted it and I could have raised it. By the time that I was finished with my set, he could have done another set, but he didn't even ask to work in. He just jumped in. And oh my goodness, all I could say is if the purge was that day, I'm following him to his house, and that's what's going to happen. But the urge to turn into the Red Hulk and put a fist through his head, use those Muay Thai teeps and get him a couple leg kicks, and when he's screaming because he can barely stand up, hit him with a roundhouse. Not that I thought about that. Not that maybe if I did a good couple of leg kicks and softened up his one leg and then shot in a single because his leg was so bruised he wouldn't be able to do anything about it, and then put him in a heel hook. No, none of that thought was going through my mind. Not at all. Not at all. But I finished up. I did my 10 minutes filled with adrenaline. I actually did 15 minutes on the treadmill. And I then went to the cryo massage and cooled off and totally forgot about this guy. He did not exist anymore. He was no longer in my head. He was free. I was good. I didn't think about him at all anymore. I felt just wonderful. He's done. I'm done with him. I might see him in the gym sometime, which I did. And he pretty much made sure not to go near me, which was good, and I'm cool with that. But at the end of that particular workout, I'm on my way to my car, getting inside, backing up. There's a car that now is going like it's driving in England as I'm backing up to try to move forward. Somebody really thinks that they're in England and they're driving on the wrong side of the road as I'm backing up to try to go the right direction, and I get Red Hulked again. And I look up and I see the person driving the car is the same guy. Same guy. Like, what? Why? 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 Why do you want to set the tone for everybody else the rest of the day? For aggravating me by doing one stupid thing after another. That's just what he did. And I was like, oh my goodness. What are we doing? What are we doing? All I can think to this person is maybe you need a few hours more sleep. Come in at 9 o'clock. I don't know. Don't come in at 5 o'clock. Come in at 9 when you're more refreshed and your mind is working right. Maybe that's what you need to do. Maybe you shouldn't do fasted exercise because your blood sugar isn't right. I don't know. Whatever it is, my question is what are we doing? Whatever it is, we need to do something else because that ain't the way to go at all. Need to do something totally different, my friend. Totally different. Whew. But like I said, I did see this individual a few more times, and we're talking, that was maybe going on 3 weeks ago now. And as this show is going to air on the 30th, it's about a month ago. And apparently, he's on the straight and narrow path now, and he's not acting bizarre anymore. Not doing weird stuff. I'm glad for him. I'm glad for me and my blood pressure. And again, I can't emphasize it enough. What are we doing? And sure enough, there's going to be plenty more of these episodes going forward. But as for now, I'm going to ring the bell and end the main event. How fortunate that the very next thing I'm going to talk about is the Spear of the Week. Need I say, it's that guy. No questions asked. 100%. I'm just saying, my ringtone is Roman Reigns' entrance theme. Had somebody called me while I was in the gym, there's no doubt. Ooh, ah, and I'm spearing that guy right there. No questions asked. That would have been it. Spear of the Week, guy who decided to just jump right into my set in the middle of the gym. It's just, why would you do that? Why would you do it? But then again, like I've been saying, what are we doing? We don't know what we're doing. Clearly, we don't. Alright, enough of that guy. Let's find out if we can look at a couple of things that have one thing in common. Let's see. I think that I want to answer two of them. And I think the first one that I'm going to answer is, well, all three of these look easy, actually. So we're going to go with the first set that's, what is that? Hoosiers, White Man Can't Jump, and Inside Man. I think the thing that all three of those have to go in common has got to be Denzel Washington, right? No, not Denzel Washington. What's his name? Inside Man. No, Inside Moves. Excuse me, not Inside Man. Inside Moves. White Man Can't Jump. If it's not Woody Harrelson, doesn't seem right. Would, of course, people are gonna. I inside moves. I'm thinking of White Man Can't Jump. And I'm looking at actors, not at what they were. Basketball movies. Don't know why I was looking actor specific, but that was stupid of me. Those are all basketball movies. The other one I'm looking at is Java, Cuba, Great Britain. I'm thinking they're all islands. Yeah, got that one right. And the last one, an Easton Reflex Model C45, a Louisville Slugger, and a Flying Mama. These have got to be baseball bats, right? Yeah. They're all bats. Aluminum softball, wooden baseball bats, but they're all bats. That one I knew. That one I definitely knew. So I'm going to say 2 out of 3 on that one. Not so bad. Well, depends on how you look at it. Let's ask ourselves a question, shall we? Here we go. I found one here. Now, this is a question that is fun, and I like it a lot. As I look around, it's a really good question, and it's a really good answer that I'm about to give because it's real hard for me to decide. I'm going to physically show it to you, or at least one of them. The question is, do you have a favorite figurine or action figure? If so, who is it of? Now, that's a question that's hard for me to answer individually because a favorite, I got a lot of them. And if I was gonna say that I had one, I couldn't just say one. But what I will do is I will show you my Mount Rushmore of action figures. There are 4 that I would consider my favorites. Um, let's go with one more that I'm looking at as I'm looking around. That would be one of my favorites. It's gotta be that guy over there. Yeah. Alright. My 4 favorite figures. It says, do I have a favorite figurine or action figure. And again, like I said, I have to go Mount Rushmore because there are more than one. I got at least four that I consider my favorites. And I'm about to go get them right here, right now. Stay with me. The first one clearly Devastator, without a doubt, is on my Mount Rushmore of my favorite figures. I love Devastator. He's my favorite combiner, probably my overall favorite Transformer, but without a doubt, he is on my Mount Rushmore of favorite figures. Now, the other ones. The other ones. I won't be able to reach them. I can't quite reach them. I very much love my Darth Maul from the original Phantom Menace. One of my absolute favorite action figures of all time. Love him to death. The other one is from um, episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and that is Count Dooku. Really enjoy having Count Dooku. He's one of my very favorites. Now, this actually works to my benefit. I can't quite reach my other one, but I'm going to hope that you can see who it is, but he's over on my wall in the Jedi Council. Because, yeah, I have Jedi all over my walls, and the Sith. We're going to go put these other two back. But on the back of Count Dooku is Mace Windu, who I also have on my wall. But I can't quite reach him because my cereal box pile is a little bit too high, and it would be a lot more disruptive than I want it to be in the middle of me making this show. So, without a doubt, my four favorite figurines, as opposed to just one, would be Devastator, Count Dooku here, Mace Windu, and Darth Maul. These definitely are my favorite ones. No doubt. So that's how I have to answer that. I can't answer it by calling it one figurine, but it has to be four. And if you really want to break it down, the Constructicons, that makes six. So realistically, you would have to say 9 total when you add them all together. But Devastator in himself is just one figure if you combine them together, right? Right. And so that's how that ends. And now it's time to go to the end of the show. How are we going to end it? Very simply, is the same way we always do. It is, without doubt, I enjoy doing this show, and I hope that all of you subscribe to @PhilTheLip here on YouTube so you can check out all the content that I've got here. Also, join us, the Lip Facebook group. Join us. There's always room for one more. Join us on the Lip Facebook group. Check me out on Instagram @PhilipHenderson5102. And the last bit of business is the words of wisdom. And not one of my normal card sets of words of wisdom. It's just, I beg of you, the words of wisdom that I have today are: if you go to the gym and you see somebody using a piece of equipment, ask them, A, are you finished? B, can I work in with you? Or C, how many sets do you have left? If you do those things and ask that person those questions, they will happily answer you. If they're in a rush, they might say, well, I'm not finished, and they'll combine it with, I have two more sets left. And sometimes, if somebody asks you to work in with them, usually it's something that it's a machine. And with machines, you can adjust the weight with pulling out a pin, or you could just change an attachment if you want to do a different attachment, and that only takes a second to do. And if somebody asks you to work in, the answer is surprisingly higher than you would expect, that people are going to say, yeah, go ahead, work in. I've had people ask me to work in with them a few times. I've never actually asked anybody to work in, but I've had people ask to work in. And I was always cordial enough to say, sure, go right ahead, especially when it's a machine that requires a pin in order to change the weight. Once again, the words of wisdom. If you're at the gym, ask a person when they're on a piece of equipment or using a machine, ask them, are you finished? How many sets do you have left? Or can I work in with you? Or ask all three. You're gonna get the person is going. You're gonna find that the person is going to be reasonable and say, "Well, I have two more sets left. If you don't want to wait, you could say, I'm not finished." And then, of course, the work-in thing, like I said, if it's a machine that uses a pin, it's nothing to have somebody go ahead and you do a set of whatever it is on one of the machines, change the pin more or less, whatever you're doing, do your set. That time, when you're doing your set, it gives that other person time to rest in between sets. So it works out for everybody. I just please hope you do that. And remember, if anybody out there can answer the question of what are we doing, please, please do so. Do so on the Lip Facebook page, check on the Instagram page for me, or here at Lip, at Fill the Lip. Put in the comments if you can figure out what it is we're doing. On that note, my name is Phil, and you've just listened to The Lip. You love it.